Check. Is my voice clear enough? Check.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to our series of translation research seminar. And I'm Leah. I'm going to be your moderator for today's session. First of all, I would like to say thank you for all the attendings for attending today's session. And for today's seminar, we are going to have two presentations. The first one is translation errors made by SmartCat in translating Grimm's The Golden Goose into Indonesian, presented by Jessica Suwandi. And the next one is Pius, subtitling strategies and translation equivalents of dialogue in Assassin's Creed The Second Game. Each of the presentation will be followed by Q&A session from the judges and followed by from the rest of the audience. And before we start the presentation, I would like to kindly remind for all the audience to check and keep the audio in mute. And now, Jessica, the screen is yours.
All right, thank you, Leah. Oops. All right. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. I am Jessica Suwandi, and I'm here to present my research paper entitled Translation Errors Made by SmartCat in Translating Grimm's The Golden Goose into Indonesian. So, as we already know that nowadays technology has grown so rapidly and it has assisted in easing and supporting human life in many sectors. In translation world, it has also played an important role by the emergence of many machine translations and also CAT tools. However, both of the tools are different kind of tools. So machine translation is basically software that's designed to translate text from one language into another language without human assistance. Meanwhile, CAT tools is software that's designed to increase or enhance the productivity of the translator. So it helps the translator to organize, to edit, to manage their work. But inside of a CAT tool, there is machine translation. So, therefore, in this study, I will focus on assessing the performance of a CAT tools of a machine translation inside of a CAT tool named SmartCat. So, SmartCat is one of the best free CAT tools that has been growing since 2016, and it claims to have the latest generation of machine translation and will select the most appropriate machine based on the language pair. Now, to observe machine translation, I need a text as an object. Therefore, in this study, I used the short story by Grimm entitled The Golden Goose. So the short story was released in Children's and Household Tales in 1812. However, I took the short story from AmericanLiterature.com. So from the background I told previously, the problem formulation is what translation errors are made by SmartCat in translating Grimm's The Golden Goose into Indonesian. And therefore, based on the problem formulation, the objective of the study will be to find out the translation errors made by SmartCat in translating the short story into Indonesian. All right, now we move to the theory. To find out the error, I choose the theory of translation error by Koponen. Basically, Koponen divides the error into two types, which are individual concepts and relation concepts. But this study will only focus on the individual concept, which means only content words will be analyzed. So the first concept is omitted concept, meaning there are words in the ST that is missing in the PT. And then the second is edit concept, meaning there are words in the that actually do not exist in the ST but appear in the PP. And then mistranslated concepts, meaning that there are words in the ST that are translated incorrectly in the PP. The next one is untranslated concept, meaning that there are words in the ST that remain the same in the PP or are not translated at all. And then the next one is substituted concept, meaning there are words in the PP that are not direct lexical equivalent for the ST. And then lastly, explicitated concept, meaning there are implicit words in the ST that stated explicitly in the PP. Now we move to the methodology. So this research is qualitative research that applies library research method. The theory that is used is component error categories. It is used to classify the errors, which later will reveal the performance of the machine translation inside SmartCat. The data are primary data, which means that the data are not taken from any other studies. The data are directly taken from the translation of SmartCat in translating the text. In total, there are 42 sentences. All right, now we've arrived to the core part of this presentation, which is the result. So before that, a disclaimer, the result is still temporary because actually there are some errors that I haven't able to categorize. Like there are some errors that needs deeper analysis. So yeah, therefore this result is still temporary. So the result is the first we have omitted concept that occurs in 9 sentences out of 42 sentences. The next one is added concept that occurs in 2 sentences. Mistranslated concept that occurs in 29 sentences. And then untranslated concept that occurs in 9 sentences. The next one is substituted concept that is found in 5 sentences, and there is no explicitated concept found. Now the first category is omitted concepts. The first example is data number 8. That is the word old from the ST is missing in the PP. According to Oxford Dictionary, old means having lived for many years, but since it is omitted, the information that the gray man is old does not deliver to the PP. And then the next example is data number 11. The word go is omitted in the PP. So the omission of the word go makes the PP less clear because there is no information for what Dumpling asked his father to let him for. So it leads to the less specific message that the ST actually wants to convey. And then the next one is added concept. So there is an addition word here, the word hal. According to KBBI, the word hal means keadaan, peristiwa, kejadian, or sesuatu yang terjadi. So it gives an information in the PP. Therefore, it is an error because hal is not mentioned in the ST. Next is mistranslated concept. The first example is data number 1. The word put down is mistranslated into dimasukkan. According to Oxford Dictionary, put down means to make somebody look or feel stupid, especially in front of other people, but it is translated into dimasukkan, which have different meaning. So this suggested translation to replace dimasukkan is direndahkan. And then the next one is data number 3. There are 5 mistranslated concepts here. The first is the word little, which is translated into sedikit. The word little in the ST actually have the meaning supposed to be about the size of something, but sedikit has to do with the amount of something, so it is mistranslated. The second one is the word bait. Yeah, according to Oxford Dictionary, bait means to greet somebody, but it is translated into meminta, which actually has different meaning to the word bait. And then the next one is do, which is translated into jangan. Yeah, so it has a contrasting meaning. And then the next one is the word have, which is translated into memiliki. At first, it seems like to be no error in this one, but have in the source text means having something to drink, but in the titi it becomes memiliki, which means to possess something. So it have different meaning. And then the next one is drought, which translated into draft. This word have very different meaning, and it also rather severe because the word draft is actually an English word, not Indonesian. So all of this error makes the ST misinterpreted in the PP. The next one is untranslated concept. The first example is the data number 34. There are the word sexton and parson are not translated at all in the PP. The word sexton actually can be translated into penjaga gereja, and then the word parson can be translated into pendeta. However, it is not translated by the machine translation of SmartCat. And then the next one is data number 10. The word strokes that remain the same in the PP, but in the PP it becomes singular, maybe because Indonesian or the target text does not use plural noun if there is already words that indicate plurality. So this kind of error occurs could be due to the words are not yet available in the dictionary of machine translation as market machine translation. The last one is substituted concept. The example is from the data number 7, which is the word son. It is translated into anak. So the word son in the source text actually emphasizes that the child is male. However, it is translated into anak, which is generalized. So yeah, therefore it makes the information in the PP less specific. So in conclusion, there are 5 categories found in SmartCat's translation, which are omitted concept, aided concept, mistranslated concept, untranslated concept, and substituted concept. The type of error occurred the most is mistranslated concept. Thus, this result also supported Troponen's result, which that the most common error of machine translation systems is mistranslated concept. This research shows that SmartCat's machine translation has a weakness in understanding the context, which eventually causes it to mistranslate the word. And since the error almost occur in all the sentences, the error exceeded the 50% of the total of sentences. So that's why it can be concluded that the SmartCat's machine translation has not worked optimally. Lastly, for the future researcher, it is suggested to conduct further research of SmartCat's machine translation in different language pair. All right, that is all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jessica, for your very nice presentation. Now we are going to open the Q&A session. The judges can give their opinion, comment, or any question related to the presentation. We are going to start from Evelyn. Evelyn May?
My voice clear?
Yes.
Okay, Jessica, first of all, I'd like to thank you for delivering the presentation. I think it is clear enough, but I suggest you to provide some examples in the types of error. Okay, so I'd like to ask more or less two questions. The first one is local language also available in SmartCap? And if so, uh, what do you think of its performance? And the second is related to the data. In table 9, data number 7, the highlighted word is sun, which is translated into anak. Do you think it is substituted? Because personally, I think that it is explicated because anak is the correct translation of sun. However, it is not specific. So I think it is not substituted but explicated. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Firstly, I want to answer the question number 1, yeah. So is local language also is SmartCat's machine translation also have local language? For now, I don't think they have local language. I haven't done research on it, but I don't think they have. Yeah, so I cannot answer your first question, but the second one, it is substituted because substituted means it is not the direct lexical equivalent for the word, and the word son, the word anak is not direct lexical equivalent for the word son because the word son has to be translated into putra, in my opinion. So it is not explicitated because explicitated means there are implicit word in the ST that is stated explicitly in the TT. So I think it is not explicitated. The example of explicitated is like, for example, the ST is Germany, and then the TT, for example, English, and the word the Ulster becomes the Lake Ulster. That is the example of explicitated because there is the addition of the word lake, but it does not give new information because the Ulster is the lake, but it is just stated explicitly in the TP.
I'm sorry, but can you provide another example of substituted and explicated, but English Indonesian, because I do not know German.
Oh yeah, sorry. Wait, I'll write it down. So it's like the Ulster. In English, it becomes the lake translated into the Lake Ulster. When it is translated into the Lake Ulster, it is explicitated. But the word lake is actually does not adding information to the Ulster. Does it answer your question?
Okay, so I'd like to ask one more. What about look out of the window? If we translate it literally, then it will be melihat keluar jendela. But if it is translated into menjenguk ke jendela, then it is considered substituted or explicated?
It is substituted.
Okay, that's all from me. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. Now we move to Michelle.
Is my voice clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, hello, Jessica.
Hello, Michelle.
Thank you for your presentation. I think the presentation is already good. And I would like to give a little bit comments for your paper. So, for your paper format, I think it's already good. It's just that there is a blank page on the last page that I think you should remove it later. And I also think that your paper have already contained most of the required parts in the paper. So I think it's overall it's already good. And for your presentation, your PPT is already tidy and easy to follow. So it's
Thank you.
already a good job. And I also have some questions, maybe one or two. So the first question. So you choose the golden goose as your object, right? So may I know what is your reason for choosing this short story as your object?
Should I answer it now or?
Okay, you can answer it
Okay. Why I choose Grimm's The Golden Goose? Okay, actually, at first I have some difficulties in choosing the short story, because I want the short story to be not too long, and also the language I want it to in the intermediate level of language. So yeah. And this short story, Grimm's The Golden Goose, has the criteria that I want, which is not too long, and also it is intermediate language level. I have checked it in the language level analyzer. So yeah, that is because of the sentences are not too long, because I don't want the data become too long, and also because of the because of the level of language.
Okay. So for the next questions. So in the result, it shows that there are a lot of errors occurred in the object, right? So, and there are 54 errors occurred from the 42 sentences. So did those errors occur in all of those 42 sentences, or there are some sentences that have no errors at all?
Yeah, actually there are some sentences that have no error at all. Wait, should I count them? Wait a minute.
Okay.
There are actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, only 5 sentences that has no error at all. And in one sentences, actually, sometimes they have like more than one type of error.
Okay. So, and one more question. Do you think that if you use other object like other type of text, not like a short story, do you think that the error that occur will be less, or will it be similar?
I think it might be different, but I think it will, yeah. It is just my assumption, yeah. I think mistranslated will also occur the most.
Okay, so
I mean, it's just in the like if I have if it is short story, yeah. But if it is like informative text or some other kind of text, I don't really know. But if it is short story, I think it will give a similar result.
Or maybe it's like the smart cat performance that caused that, like it's the smart cat performance problem, I think. So
because
that's
it
all
cannot really understand the context of the text.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's why.
Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you so much, Jessica, for answering
Thank
the
you,
question.
Michelle.
Thank you.
Is my voice clear enough?
Yes.
Oh yeah, because I didn't hear Lea's voice. I don't know what happened with her mic. Okay. Present. Where is it?
Okay. Sorry. Oh, okay.
Okay.
So,
Where is it? Excuse me.
going to move to the next presenters. Okay, it's good.
Okay, in this my presentation about the subtitling and equivalence in dialogue in Assassin's Creed 2 game. Okay, that in this translation strategies on this dialogue, I divided into three. First introduction, subtitling strategies, and translation equivalence in here. So the first is about the subtitling. Subtitling is a type of the language transfer in the translation, especially interlingual language. Yeah. And also the subtitle it is also synchronized with the subtitle version of it and does not change or replace the source text itself. It just transfer the message meaning from the original one to the translated one. And also in this part, I take Assassin's Creed as the basic because the Ubisoft started to input the subtitle in their games on 2008. And it's also affected in Assassin's Creed 2 because it launched in 2009. Okay, the background of the study is the subtitle usually appears in the game, especially on the role-playing games such as Assassin's Creed here, action game like Far Cry, and the adventure game maybe like Genshin here. And also the paper is about to discover the subtitling strategies on the game and the equivalence of the Italian language in English dialogue subtitle. I, as a researcher, inserted to the Italian dialogue in Assassin's Creed because it makes up the feeling of the story in the game. Yeah, if you know the Assassin's Creed. Okay, and here, this is the one of the dialogue in Assassin's Creed. This will be my object of the study. Actually, Assassin's Creed is the RPG game that will be analyzed in here, and there is a subtitle which is written in English, and it is translated from the Italian to the English. If you can see here, it is from Italian and it will translate into English. Yeah. Okay, the research method that we'll use in this here is about qualitative research. It will describe data and analyze it and give the result. It based on the library method because the library method provides some theories to that can be used as the basic of the data analysis. Okay, the subtitling strategies. As Cintas Diaz said in their journal, subtitling is the type of language transfer in the translation, especially in the interlingual language. The subtitle strategies is needed in translating interlingual language because the translator have to deal with the cultural related terms. It makes the translator it's like a challenge for the translator because the target language is usually is not same as in the cultural from the original source. So they try to make the people to understand what is the message from the original language itself. Okay, the subtitling strategies, there are 5 that I will use in here. The first is transfer. Transfer is a transmission from the whole form and also message from the SL to other acceptable TL equivalents. This method transmits the message from the message and form origin SL aspect and emanated by TL correctly. Moreover, this method doesn't change the message of the audience to the audience. I'm sorry. The second is about the expansion. This is the method that which is adding some words to the translated language. Expansion method gives additional information to create the better translation that is acceptable equivalence in target language. Maybe I'll give example here. The duck that in one shot, it will translate in Indonesia. Bebek itu mati terkena lemparan batu. There's a additional word like lemparan batu here but it cause the duck death. Okay, the third is about the imitation. Imitation is adopting a foreign expression in the translation. Imitation usually use the origin SL and it's not changed into in the TL. Both of form and the message. Maybe you can use the example. It's like RSVP Evendo C4 play. It means like you reserve some place to there, and also etc. in English to show the additional more of the example. It's taken from Latin and also the French. The fourth is about the transcription. It's fulfilling textual function as long as it uses in the language. It rewrites some uses of the word to get the functional in speaking or any writing. And the last is about deletion. Deletion is a method that deletes some word in SL from SL in TL without losing the meaning of the message. Deletion is omitted the additional words that doesn't change the pragmatic effect of the message itself. Next, about the translations equivalence, I take it from Nida and Taber here. Nida and Taber have a focus in new focus of translation, and also Nida divided into 2 here, the dynamic equivalence and formal correspondence. The dynamic equivalent is translated method that which is transport the message from the original text to the receptive language. The dynamic language is more in the people understanding of the message from the original message. The response of the message from the receptor is the same as the original receptor itself. And the second is about the formal correspondence. formal correspondence is the opposite from the dynamic of equivalence is translated method, which is a form and form of the SL have been reproduced mechanically in respective language. Usually the formal correspondence is more grammatical, have a grammatical meaning. So the translation can be distort the message from the original message in the target language because the grammatical and stylistic pattern is different. So to prevent this issue, Nida and Taber makes a priority. The dynamic equivalent has a priority over the formal correspondence. This priority based on the receptor is in understanding the message from the original message in receptor language. Okay, this is the data. In data number 5, there is the first and the third dialogue use the transfer method in subtitling because it used the transfer because it doesn't change the message from and the meaning of the word itself from the Italian to the English, and especially in here in second dialogue use the expansion method. As you can see here, say un combatente. In English, you are a fighter. In source text itself, the word "to" is deleted because the subject is the same as the first one. In here, the character is Ezio Auditore. The subject is the same as the first one. So in Italian, the word "to" is deleted and changed into say un combattente. But in English, it gives some additional word "you" here because in English sentence they can stand a sentence without a subject. So they put the subject here and put "you" as the addition in here. In data number 6, the TL dialog use the paraphrase method, and yes, because here the actually translation about this is together we are together to the victory, but it paraphrase, and Ubisoft want to try to emphasize the togetherness in the speech by using the solidarity, and they Ubisoft try to make we stand together here. It can achieve the victory that they want to in this speech. And also the word Victoria is deleted in English dialogue. They put victory into to create the circumstance of more have a fighting spirit, but Ubisoft want try to emphasize about the word togetherness together here. So they deleted the Victoria because with the solidarity of the people, they can achieve the victory itself. And data number 8, the TL dialogues use the imitation. Yes, because this word actually is from Latin. Word means silencium. In this situation, the imitation word has meaning to calm the momentum of the speech. Actually, in the scene, they are the audience make a crowd, so the main character try to make it down to hear the main character speech. The data number 18, the TL dialogue use the transcription. Actually, in this subtitle, there is no English dialogue at all, but Ubisoft used the original Italian word uno, due, tre, the numerical number in Italian. Ubisoft want to try give a more cultural experience in game, so Ubisoft doesn't translate this word at all. So they choose the word uno, due, tre to count the start or anything in the race. Okay, data number 23. The TL dialog use imitation in the word padre. Actually, it's the same as the father in English, but the word padre is more like show the politeness or the respect to the others. It is same like maybe in Japanese, you know about romo. The word romo is refers to bapa. So it's like a give the politeness in Italian. So it use the padre in here. And also the sentence is transferred because there is no differences in original and the target language message. For data number 23, the dialogue has been paraphrased. The word for fortity to go fuck yourself. I'm sorry about this word because this is a bad word. And it is text in Italian, also in English subtitle. It paraphrased the word from the word screw you or fuck you here. This gives the intention of the insult rather than the word screw you. So the word is bold and strong to insult the other person, especially maybe like to your best friend or anything like that. You can use the go fuck yourself, and the expansion is used change the word, and in English it put go that means other people to do it yourself. So the expansion here is give the additional word go to give a strong and bold feelings of the insult. The data number 21. The dialogue use the transfer, expansion, and paraphrase. We call it the vision in Goldrip's subtitling strategies. And also this is transfer and also expansion, especially in sentence second sentence. Yeah, then the word I beg your pardon. The word I beg your pardon is paraphrased from the original language. It's out. Actually, it's in the raw translation is said about I apologize, but there is no the object of the to whom the character should apologize. In this part, it changes word into I beg your pardon, and they give additional word your to create the meaning of the messages. So this character have to apologize to a person here. So they change and paraphrase the word itself into I beg your pardon. Okay, in the last data in here, the dialogue use a paraphrase, and the paraphrase located in the word him. Actually, is the word in if it translated it put it down, but it's not related to a human because human different from a thing. So they changed the word it into him here too, because the target of the message itself is a human, not a thing here. Also, from this all the data, the dynamic equivalence is used here because there is no distortion about the message from the original to the target language. So actually it's all about the priorities to the and also the difference on grammatical. So it use the receptor understanding. Okay, the conclusion is about the subtitle strategies. In here, that use is a paraphrase, changes the form of the original language to the target language, but doesn't change the form of the message. Using the expansion to add give an additional word. Deletion is delete some word that not is used in the the target language. Imitation is the same, or we can say it learned from the other language. Transfer transmitted all the message and the form. Also the transcription to give more functional word here, functional meaning in the dialogue. And also the average equivalence is that is used is dynamic equivalence, because as we can see the priorities, the dynamic equivalence is more than the formal correspondence to prevent the misunderstanding and in grammatical and stylistic pattern. I think that's all from my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Beweka, for your presentation. Now we start the Q&A session from Evelyn.
Okay, hello, Pei. Okay, thank you for your presentation. It is very interesting because the source text is Italian. I cannot imagine. Okay. So first of all, there is something that makes me confused. Actually, actually, how many translation strategies proposed by Kotlib?
Excuse me, can you repeat the questions?
Okay, actually, how many types of translation strategies proposed by Kotlib?
Actually, there is 10 or 11 in Gottlieb. There is a transfer, imitation, transcription, expansion, paraphrase, dislocation, condensation, relation, decimation, like resignation and timing. But I chose 5 in here in my paper.
Okay, because from what I have read from Gottlieb's book, he only proposed 10. So the last one, taming, I think it's supposed to be Haryanto's strategy.
Yes, I can say that because when I read the Sugeng Haryanto thesis there, maybe a journal. Yes, he put the timing to what is that? To not giving a bad words like that. So he put the timing as the additional in his journal.
Okay, so we can say that taming is supposed to be Gottlieb's strategy, right?
Yes.
Okay, I have also several comments about the paper. I think you need to elaborate more, especially in the introduction and conclusion part, because I think it is not sufficient. And I'd like to know, did you use Grammarly?
Actually, my Grammarly is it's uninstalled by itself by the program, so I can use the Grammarly when I write the paper.
Okay, I see.
Sorry about
Okay.
that.
Okay, now I will deliver my questions. It is more or less 2 or 3.
Okay.
So the first question is, how translation strategy in subtitling differ from translation strategy but in non-audio visual media? You can answer that.
the translation in the subtitling strategies, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, what is the difference between strategy in subtitling and in non-audiovisual media?
In my opinion, there is no differences from the subtitling and the non-audiovisual translation. Maybe the difference is in the subtitling is written on the audiovisual itself, so you can read the translation of the speech, or you can read the original text of the speech or the spoken language in the subtitling. Yeah, in the video, like that, in my opinion.
Okay, I got it. Okay, it is related to data. So in data number 8, could you elaborate more why the word silencio, which is translated into silence, you classify it as imitation and transfer? Could you elaborate the reason?
Okay, I will answer it. I have a basic in Latin because in my high school, the senior high school, I learned about the Latin. Actually, the Latin is, what is that we call it? The basics of the language in Europe. In English, maybe you can see the Latin word like etc. Maybe like exempla gracia is actually from Latin. So I think the word silencio and silence here is the same language as the Latin, but in maybe Italian we call it Neo-Latin because the form of the word itself different from in Latin, actual word in Latin. So I think this is like a Neo-Latin or New Latin language, but actually the basics from Latin. Is that answer your questions?
Okay, but I think it is, what is it? It is not supposed to be imitation because imitation like the exact word, right? So I think it is not imitation. What do you think?
I don't know how to answer it, but I still, in my opinion, it is a imitation from Latin. But if you think this is like a transfer, maybe you can put it to in, because actually this is the same. It has the same message in original and translated one. I think like that.
Oh, well, okay then. And the last is, if you don't mind, from data number 18, yang 1 to 3.
Yes.
Why is it considered transcription? Because transcription is like when there is a third language, right? But here it is only Italian and English. But why do you consider it as transcription? Thank you.
As I said before, it's give a more cultural experience in the game. So Ubisoft doesn't translate it the word itself. I think it gives a more, what is it? Give it some feeling or the function of the feel. I don't know how to answer it, but I think this is how it, I don't know how to answer it, but in my opinion, it gives the more functional experience, I think, and here in cultural experience. So Ubisoft doesn't change it. Sorry for not answering your questions.
Okay, thank you so much for trying to answer my questions. I think
No problem.
that is enough for me, Faye. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Hello, Pius.
Hello, Michelle.
So thank you for your presentation. It's a really interesting one. And so first, I would like to give you some comments regarding your paper. So the first one, for the format, I think like the abstract and the introduction, there's a gap between them. And I think you need to revise it later, since the introduction part should be like right below the abstract. And then in the paper, you didn't include the methodology part. I think you need to include it later. And then in the introduction, there's missing parts, I think. Like for example, the objective of your paper, I think you need to put some explanation about your objective in the introduction. And
Okay.
for the table format, I think you can make it more like tidier later. Like maybe you can put a color for the description column, so it can be more tidier. Okay. So next, I also have some. And for the first one regarding the object, and the source language is from Italian, right? So
Yes.
may I know how do you manage to understand the Italian language? Like, I mean, do you already study Italian for some time, or do you use helping tools like machine translation, for example?
Actually, I use a translation machine in understanding the Italian, but as I said before in my question, I've already learned about Latin in senior high school, so I remember that my teacher said about the Latin is the basic language in Europe. So I think the Italian word is same as the Latin word, but it has a differences because Italian word is like a Neo-Latin or New Latin. So it has different form in maybe grammatical and stylistic for pattern. Like, is that answer your questions?
Yes. And next, I want to know, in the paper you put explanation about the equivalence, the translation equivalence. Like, why didn't you put it on your presentation today?
Sorry for about that. I remember that I haven't put it at all in my presentation. I think I've done it right in my presentation, so it's my fault because I didn't provide it in the PPT.
So can I still ask question regarding the translation equivalence? Can I?
Yeah, sure.
So what I want to ask that like in your analysis, for example, in datum number 5 and 8, you say that the equivalence in that sentences is using dynamic equivalence, right? So, in my opinion, I think that this datum can be categorized as a formal correspondence instead, since like in the datum number 5, like the first sentence that is translated into "you are an auditor," I think it shares the same form or similar form from the SL. So I think so this represented like the closest equivalence of the SL. That is, and I think that is it is the characteristic of a formal correspondence. What do you think about this?
I think it's like a suggestion for me to maybe to analyze more than this presented one, because in I haven't understand about it at all. Maybe go going deeper in what is the different, the dynamic and the formal correspondence. So I think I will keep your suggestion to analyze more about this sentences from Italian to English. That. Thank you for your suggestions.
Okay, and I think maybe like little more suggestion. I think like for like datum number 5, there are 3 sentences there. I think.
Yes.
So for the subtitle strategies, you divide them like the explanation. You divide them into like per part, right? Like per sentence. I think maybe you can do the same thing for the transitions equivalence analysis. So you can analyze it per part, per sentence. Maybe can help you more.
Okay, thank you for your suggestions. It is really helping for me.
Okay. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you so much for answering the questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Excuse me, Leah, your voice is missing.
Sorry, my
Your
voice
voice is
clear
missing.
enough.
Yeah, it's clear now.
Is there any other question from the rest of the audience? There is no other question. I will count to 10. Post this seminar. There is no other question. I will give the screen back to Satmori.